welcome to the Kemetic How-To Guide for Egyptian Pagan and Kemetic practitioners. I'm your host, Sharon. I've gotten some requests to talk about Maat, and that would be a good opportunity to talk about not only Maat, but also its opposite, Isfet. These are two concepts in Egyptian ethics, which I explain in greater detail in Following the Sun. But here I'm going to give you a couple brief definitions and discuss what does that mean for people who are Egyptian pagan or Kemetic. First of all, Maat, or some people just say Maat, it's an idiomatic expression and it means truth, justice, order. You could say, truth, justice, and the Egyptian way, to sort of paraphrase Superman. That it was represented in everything from the natural order of, the rising and setting of the sun to, proper behavior for human beings. How this applies to being a Kemetic, or an Egyptian pagan of, another kind, not just, Kemetic. Ma'at, as a concept, implies that order and goodness are the nature of the universe, its default setting, if you will. When we do good deeds, when we respect the dignity of ourselves and other people, we're furthering Ma'at and the natural order of the world that was set forth by the Creator. Whether you consider the Creator to be Ra, Amun-Ra, Neat, Isis, some people now might see it. That's kind of a contrast with paths like Discordianism or chaos magic, which see chaos as inherent in everything. Everything goes back to chaos, and so it's kind of it runs counter to the way the Egyptians see the world. That's not saying that one path is better than the other, because I have a friend who is Discordian for a long time. But it's kind of opposite viewpoints of the world. Now, the opposite of Ma'at is Isfet. Now, if you go and you look online, there are certain Kemetic groups that render this word, they explain it as meaning uncreation. I talk about that in Following the Sun, and personally I highly disagree with this rendering. Chaos is a part of the meaning of the word Isfet, yes, but that's not all of it. There are respected scholars from the field of Egyptology, such as Sir Alan Gardner, who wrote an entire Egyptian grammar, Raymond Faulkner, who translated everything from the pyramid texts through the Book of the Dead, and Miriam Lichtheim, who wrote a 3-volume, wrong book, excuse me. Here we are. Wrote a 3-volume set on Egyptian literature. All of those scholars translate Isfet as meaning evil or sin. And not to offend anybody, but I will take the word of 3 published PhD Egyptologists over the word of one Kemetic leader with a master's any day of the week and twice on Sundays. So, Isfet means evil, chaos, or sin. Some of the Kemetic pages that you can find online talk about the uncreated, and they kind of suggest that you have matter, you have creation, and then its opposite is sort of a spiritual antimatter, and that's uncreation. Not really. Okay, you have Nun, which is the primordial abyss, the state of nothingness or chaos, or nothing is differentiated. It's just sameness, blackness all around. That's what creation is sort of floating in. And these beings, what would be demons in Egyptian belief, of course, headed by, Apophis. The others, they're called the Mosu Badesh, the children of rebellion. These are beings that were created. They're part of the created order, but they have vowed destruction. If you have ever read Milton's Paradise Lost, the line, "Evil be thou my good," that's sort of what you have with the Mosu Badesh and with Apophis. Their whole intention is to destroy Ma'at, to destroy order, and drag creation back into chaos, back into the abyss. And the spells and the rites to cast out evil that name all of these beings charge them with opposing Ra and making rebellion against him. So that suggests that they, were part of order, but decided that they would rather, see things torn down than built up. So what does that mean for Kemetic practice? For one, it says that there is a concept of sin, of evil in Kemetic faith, but it has nothing to do with how you dress, who you love, what contraception you use. In fact, there was a discussion on the Following the Sun forum a few months back where somebody said, well, would homosexuality be considered Isfet? And the resounding consensus was no, because that's that's a Christian idea that homosexuality is wrong, and yes, in ancient sources, there were ancient Egyptians who didn't approve of sexuality, but for us today as modern Kemetics, sin doesn't have something to do with who your partner is. It has to do with did you hurt someone? Did you lie? Did you misrepresent yourself? Did you jeopardize the greater good? Those are considered sinful things in Egyptian belief. Anyone who, to continue, this is, how I interpret, Maat and Isfet, based on research. Anyone who survived abuse, violent crime, addiction, a nasty divorce, what Isfet is firsthand. Because what words would you use to describe it? Chaos? Pain? Turning your world upside down? The Egyptians knew what these things were too. And when they were at their most eloquent, they spoke of a benevolent creator who did not want his people to suffer. And one of those things, the monologue of the creator, that's part of the coffin texts. And, words spoken by him whose names are hidden, the All-Lord, that would be the creator, generally considered Ra. Hail and peace. I repeat to you the good deeds which my own heart did for me from within the serpent's coil, in order to silence strife. I did four good deeds from within the portal of Lightland, which is how she translates, the horizon. I made the four winds, that every man might breathe in his time. This is one of the deeds. I made the great inundation, that the humble might benefit by it like the great. This is one of the deeds. I made every man like his fellow, and I did not command that they do wrong. And the word that she's translating as wrong is Isfet. So he's saying, I did not command that they do Isfet. It is their hearts that disobey what I have said. This is one of the deeds. I made that their hearts are not disposed to forget the West, in order that sacred offerings be made to the gods. This is one of the deeds. I have created the gods from my sweat, and the people from the tears of my eye. So that, in a brief nutshell, is how the Egyptians saw the world, and what our place is in it, and Ma'at and Isfet. Ma'at is the natural order of things. Isfet is when you choose deliberately to do wrong. So hopefully this will help you to better understand Egyptian ethics, and it will give you, some ideas of how you would apply that in your own practice. So, for the Kemetic How-To Guide, this is Sharon wishing you Senepti.